I first started in the fair business in 1953 in Newport Beach, California, working for Dave Barham, hot dog on a stick.
Fred's family owned a printing business, and his father Eugene taught Fred a strong work ethic and the ability to preserve any money that came his way. For the next 10 plus years, Fred ran a printing press full-time for the family business and worked at fairs on the weekends.
Then he worked renting panel boards at Balboa Beach during the summer, which I thought was a good idea for him.
But Fred and his wife Beverly wanted something for themselves.
And I wanted to get into business and do something different than selling hot dogs. So in Pomona in 1967, I met a guy from Santa Cruz, California, that had an amusement park up there. And the most popular ride he had up there was a slide. So I went up there, took pictures of it, came back, and my father-in-law was in the scaffolding business and designed the slide and put it in the National Orange Show in 1967.
The giant slide was built and premiered at the 1967 Los Angeles County Fair. The slide featured 5 humps, and riders paid 25 cents per ride. 160,000 customers enjoyed that ride. On the heels of that success, Fred took a temporary leave from the print shop and brought his giant slide design to the IAFE-IAAPA convention and trade show in Chicago. He took orders for 10 slides. Fred and his team traveled with their giant slide toolbox and went to locations all over the U.S. and Canada to set them up.
And everywhere there's a slide, it's always the number one ride everywhere.
For each slide they sold, they were able to build 2 more. Since then, 42 slides were built, including one at the Sydney, Australia Royal Easter Show.
And I had it there for 40 years. And also I took lemonade and cheese to Australia in those days.
From there, it quickly became a family affair. Fred and Beverly's daughter Stacy took her first ride on the big slide at the age of 4 months. She first managed a Pittroff slide operation at the age of 14, and she has never missed a Minnesota State Fair. She met her husband Robert Verona at the fair, where he worked at the hamburger stand next to the slide. When they married, it was at the top of the giant slide. Their 2 daughters, Isabella and Annabella, are now 3rd-generation giant slide attendants.
And in that time, the giant slide has become, it's right at the center of the fairgrounds, and it's an absolute must stop for everybody. It's now we're on 4, even 5 generations of families have been on the slide, and only a very special guy like Fred could come up with an idea like that.
Beverly passed away on the last day of the Minnesota State Fair in 2010. The late great OABA news ambassador Tom Powell wrote a news story about Pittroff in September of 2019. In that article, Fred told Tom that 2019 is the 50th anniversary of the giant slide in Minnesota. 9 million fair guests have ridden the slide since its debut, and it's been our great privilege to make memories for the past 5 decades. The giant slide is simple fun that has stood the test of time. There aren't many things that give you the same exhilarating feeling, whether you're young or old, but the slide does. Powell added that Pittroff is now married to the former Carmel Dyer, who operates Australian battered potatoes. Fred Pittroff can be seen each year at industry gatherings like Midwest Fairs, IAFE, NICA, and Gibtown's IISA, wearing comfortable and highly stylish shirts, and always negotiating the convention walkways with Carmel.
Everywhere I go, I have a Minnesota State Fair cup, so I'm their advertisers all around the world. If I don't carry my cup, even in Australia, the people want to know why I haven't got my cup with me. Because they think that all I do is drink beer all day long, but I usually drink iced tea, but they think it's beer.
Fred thinks before he speaks, then speaks with authority. The authority of a pioneer and a legend.
And he's a hard worker, He's honest and loving, I'd say.
Indeed, Fred Pittroff was named a living legend by the National Independent Concessionaires Association in 2015, and also inducted into the Minnesota State Fair Hall of Fame in 2017.
He joins people like Mike Heffron, longtime fair manager, Carl Settlemeyer Sr., founder of Royal American Shows, and Frank Winkley, the old promoter from back in the day with IMCA races, and the great fireworks producers.
History books tell us about famous pioneers and explorers like Daniel Boone, who explored and settled the frontier of Kentucky, Lewis and Clark, who toured the Louisiana Territory and the West, Christopher Columbus, whose voyage led to the colonization of the Americas, and Isaac Newton, who defined his 3 laws of motion and universal gravitation. Fred Pittroff took Newton's laws of motion and applied them to beautiful yellow structures with gentle humps that have provided millions upon millions with pure fair time enjoyment.
Congratulations, Fred.
Fred's in good company in the Minnesota State Fair Hall of Fame, and he's in excellent company with the OABA.
Tonight, Fred Pittroff is named Outdoor Amusement Business Association's Pioneer Award winner for 2020.